Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Thank you very much for being here, everybody. You fine people on this Monday morning. Look at all you great people out there coming in here to talk some hoops, talk a little Lakers basketball, talk a little bit about the NBA. Look at all of you out there. Thank you for working your way in. We'll give everybody a quick second. Work your way in. Take your time. It's like you just walked into the restaurant. Let me give you a second to look at the menu. Give you an opportunity to just kind of, check out the environment. Appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully everybody had a great weekend. Monday, November 17th. Busy weekend. A lot going on in sports. That was a fun weekend. That was great. Exactly what you're looking for in November. Exactly what you're looking for. You got a little bit of everything. You got some NFL. You got college football. You got the NBA. I don't know. Maybe there's some people out there, big hockey fans. Not exactly my cup of tea. But I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. We got a packed show today. Sometimes I do the rundown. And when I'm doing the rundown, I will deal with some issues with, okay, what makes it as a topic? What doesn't make it as a topic? Not everything can be a topic. Today I had some difficulty. I had a lot of shifting to do. I had a lot of moving around to do, trying to figure out, all right, what are we going to jam into this show? It will be packed. I won't have a guest, so we'll get a chance to kind of kick it here. Tomorrow I will have a guest. Small Trevor Lane's going to be joining the show, so looking forward to talking some hoops with Trevor. So let's kind of get a quick little rundown here, give everyone what we got going on. I'll take a look at the comments. We'll get the show started, and we'll sip a little coffee in the process. Just a nice cup of Joe, guys. I went to Pete's again. I got to start making coffee more. I'm getting a little lazy here. All of a sudden, Al just, you know what? I have an iHeart partnership. Let's not make coffee anymore. You want to talk about an ego? Let me give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on for the show today. A perfect weekend for the Lakers. Literally a perfect weekend for the Lakers. I don't want the weekend to get lost, because I think we saw the game obviously on Saturday night. We knew what they did on Friday. I want to spend a little time on Saturday, a little bit on the road trip, going 3-2 on the road trip, because when we were sitting here on Friday, I didn't think they were going to have a 3-2 road trip the way that they had been playing. So I really want to give them credit. I do want to kind of go back a little bit on that game on Saturday, give the Lakers proper credit for what they were able to accomplish. 10-4 overall. I keep trying to emphasize this, and I don't know if people are listening to me. Why is nobody listening to me? 10-4 is such a great start for this Lakers team. 10-4 in the West without LeBron. Are we paying attention to how impressive that is? I don't know if we are, but I'll do my best to try to emphasize how impressive of a start that is. I got LeBron practicing with the Lakers. I started looking at a couple of comments. They threw me off here. I think everybody's losing it on DeRozan. I mean, I didn't even start the show yet, and people were like, Sliwa, what's going on with DeMar? I'm like, just relax. Or just, that's what we're here. We're here to talk about it. Lakers or LeBron practicing with the Lakers. He could. I mean, listen, theoretically, he's practicing today. He could play tomorrow against the Utah Jazz. That can happen. I don't know if it will. Obviously, I think with LeBron, they're clearly taking their time and making sure that LeBron is ready to go before they actually have him do anything. But that's how close the Lakers are to having LeBron back. He's going to be practicing with the Lake Show today. He was practicing obviously with the G League and keep going from there. I should have flipped these, but all right, I didn't flip them. NBA tiers. I've been asking something in the Western Conference. I've been asking for these tiers that I don't like that there's other teams in the same tiers as the Oklahoma City Thunder. ESPN today, I want to say today, put out some tiers, and I think I was listened to. I think my voice was finally heard. It was finally heard. Probably not heard, but still. They did something that I think makes sense. They put the Lakers, to be honest with you, as far as where the Lakers go, tiers-wise, it was further down than I thought it was going to be. So I didn't think it was going to be that far down, but it was. The other thing here, should the Lakers pursue DeMar DeRozan? There's a couple articles out there talking about DeMar DeRozan and if the Lakers should pursue him. I got my opinion on that. I think a lot of Laker fans have their opinion on that as well. Damn, feels like we've been talking about him for a long time, and timing is everything. And if you were to tell me now's the timing, I don't know. That wouldn't really make all the sense. Most sense to me. We'll get into DeMar DeRozan. Lakers were unhappy with AD. That was a story that came out maybe on Friday. I'm like, all right, well, I want to talk about this. Put a pin on that. We'll hit on that. NBA news weekend recap. We'll get out of here. And just like that, I twisted them. DeMar DeRozan will be the third topic, not the fourth topic. That's where it should be. Okay, let me look at a couple of comments here. Get the show started from here, and we'll go from there. Let's see what we got here. Good quote here. Ocean Breeze. If you guys don't know Ocean Breeze just, he lobs in here. You know, before I used to kind of lob a quote every morning. And then Ocean Breeze like, Slee, I got this. You handle the topics. You handle the damn thumbnail. Let me come in with the quote. Happiness is a choice, not a result. No person will make you unhappy unless you decide to be unhappy. Your happiness will not come to you. It can only come from you. Thank you, Ocean Breeze. Nice quote to get things started here on a Monday morning. Great stuff as always. Not mad at 10-4 at all, considering the circumstances. What I would tell you is, even if the Lakers had LeBron James, and even if Gabe Vincent and everybody was healthy, let's say they had no injuries at all, 10-4 is a really good start in the West. I mean, there's only a couple other teams that have better records than the Lakers at 10-4. So I would tell you that forget the circumstances. They're 10-4. Add the circumstances, it's even more impressive. Let's get another comment in here. What's up, Al? Big game Saturday. I really like the big lineup with Maxi Kleber. He played very well. You know, I got to be honest. Saturday, I'm doing that post-game show. I did not know that we were going to be spending some time talking about Maxi Kleber, and I gave credit. I said it a couple different times. I thought Maxi Kleber had good minutes for the Lakers. Not that you're asking Maxi Kleber to deliver for you every single night, but have the option of Maxi Kleber? Sure, why not? You want to have as many options as you can from a number of your different players. Kleber was one of them on Saturday. Okay, let's get the show started. Cheers to all of you. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their Monday as we get started here. Not far from Thanksgiving coming. Oh, what a good time of the year. What a good time of the year. Okay. Perfect weekend. Doing the show on Friday. By the way, keep the comments coming in. I'll do my best to get to them as the show goes on. Friday, we're doing the show. And, frankly, I was just really unimpressed with the Lakers road trip, as most people were. I think the best way to describe the Lakers is they had a 5-game road trip and they played one good half. In the first 3 games, they played one good half. And it was against a team with, frankly, one of the worst organizations in the league. And the only talent that they have, they weren't playing. LaMelo Ball didn't play. Brandon Miller didn't play. And that was the only good half that the Lakers played. Lost against Atlanta without Trae Young, Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Walker-Alexander. Went up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. We obviously know what happened there. And like I said, only played one good half against Charlotte. So I'm walking into the game against the Pelicans on Friday night. Not that I was concerned about the Pels game, but the Pelicans game became there's just, obviously you can't have any excuse to lose this game. The question was really going to come down to Saturday night. And on Saturday night, would you be able to, on a second of a back-to-back, Luka already playing 40 minutes in that first game, guys playing big minutes, no Marcus Smart and no Rui Hachimura, are you able to go at Milwaukee and get a W? And I'll be the first to admit, and I tried emphasizing this on Friday, the Bucks are not the same, Milwaukee Bucks team from a couple years ago. They're not a true championship contender. Yes, they got one of the best players in the league, but they're not the Bucks that won a championship back in 2021. We know that. Chris Middleton's not there. I'm just kind of going down the list of some of the different players that represented the Bucks over the years. That's not the same squad. That's not the same team. So the reality of the situation was it's a winnable game, but the way the Lakers were playing coming into that game, you also wouldn't be surprised if they lost that game. Maybe even more expecting them to lose than to win the game at Milwaukee. Game starts, Lakers come out. Really, really nice start by the end of that first quarter. And then all of a sudden, this second quarter blitzed, and you're looking up at the scoreboard, and I'm like, are the Lakers up 31 in Milwaukee against the Bucks on the road on the 5th, the last game of the road trip, which is typically one of the more tougher games? They got in at like 3 a.m. after they played the Pelicans, and nobody made any excuses, and the Lakers were up 31. All right, yes, third quarter, Milwaukee goes on a run. Fine, it's the NBA. They go on a 15-0 run at some point in that third quarter, a couple of minutes in. They cut it all the way down. I think the closest that the Bucks got to was 13. And then the Lakers behind Luka, who had 8 points to close out that third quarter. Austin Reeves with some really, really clutch buckets in that fourth quarter finally looked like Austin Reeves. I mean, Reeves really hasn't looked like himself since that groin injury. Missed a few games, 3 or 4 games. I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe it was 3 games. And then, obviously he comes back and just didn't look like himself. So we haven't seen the real Austin Reeves in a couple of weeks. Saturday night, we saw the real Austin Reeves. And it was Reeves sizing up players, hitting step-back threes, having 8 dimes, leading the Lakers from an assist perspective as well, creating for others. And when the dust settled on that game on Saturday night, you looked and you had to feel as good about the Lakers as you felt all season, even though the games prior to that was like, what am I watching here? Starting to get some players back. Somebody mentioned Maxi Kleber. Adu Thero makes his season debut for the Lakers. You're starting to get some momentum about when LeBron's going to return. So I thought by the time Saturday night ended and everybody got to kick back and enjoy their Sunday football yesterday and relax, and there was no Lakers game and spend time with family, whatever it was, as we sit here this morning, you have to feel really, really good about the position that the Lakers are in right now. I think 10-4 is a very, very impressive record in the Western Conference, 14 games in, and tomorrow they got a chance to run their record to 11-4, 15 games into the season. I think it's wildly impressive for them to start out the season the way they did. But I thought the way they ended that road trip was a really, really important stretch for this team. Because if you had momentum when you started 7-2, and you had momentum after you beat Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs, and you get ready for this 5-game road trip, that momentum was lost through the first 3 games. That momentum was, and frankly, I think it could have been killed as well if they lost to Milwaukee and they came back 2-3. And the way they started the road trip, you kind of figured, hey, they're going to be a 2-3 team through this road trip. So I thought Saturday night was significant. I really did. Is it going to be the difference of the Lakers making a run in the West? No. How many of 82 game schedule is that going to be the game that stands out? Probably not. But I did think that was a key game on Saturday night, and there were a lot of guys that you could point to and say, hey, this guy had a nice game. Hey, that guy had nice contributions. Hey, this guy came in off the bench, and I felt gave the Lakers some good minutes. Saturday night I thought was significant. So I didn't want to just kind of churn the page so quick, and it's like, all right, that's it. Road trip is over. I think if you reflect on that road trip, the Lakers were this stock that was going down, and then just when, kind of hit its bottom after the Thunder game, and now it's rising back up, and a couple of nice wins on Friday and Saturday night for the Lakers kind of put themselves back in a position where you could start feeling good about the team again. And like I said, the 10-4 start. Let me hit real quick on the 10-4 start. Somebody had a comment when we started here, and I think this is significant as well. Look, the West is the West. I mean, the Thunder are sitting at 13-1. They're not the only good team in the Western Conference. If I told you, give me the top 3 teams in the West coming into the season, maybe there was some question marks on the Rockets just because of Fred VanVleet, but you shouldn't be surprised of the top 3 in the Western Conference right now. Oklahoma's 13-1. Denver's 10-2. The Rockets are 9-3. So if I'm right, I think the Rockets had lost. I think they started the season out 0-2. So they've won 9 of their last 10 games now. They won a close game yesterday. They won, them and Orlando were going toe-to-toe. But the Rockets now have won 9 of their last 10 games. So I think it's been kind of chalk in the top 3 if you were one of those people that thought, all right, the Rockets are still going to be top 3 without Fred VanVleet. To be honest, I thought if Fred VanVleet was there, no question about it. But I do think there were some fair questions of like, all right, are they still a top 3 team if you take Fred VanVleet out of the lineup? They play defense. They got a closer in KD. They got size. They got all these different stuff. So there's your top 3 in the West. Fourth team in the West is it's right there. It's Lakers. They're 10-4. Right in the mix between those top 3 teams. Take the Thunder out. I think just kind of leave Thunder in their own world. The Lakers are right there with those teams. And they've been able to do this without LeBron. And they've been able to do this with obviously the kind of the different lineups and the certain players that you didn't expect to play. A lot of games too, I think, for the Lakers where you thought early on, well, they're not going to win that because Luka and LeBron and AD, or Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves are out. So yeah, they don't have a shot at this game. They've also had some impressive wins in the process. Have they had some bad losses? Sure. The Atlanta game is one that stands out, but I think for the most part, not much to bitch and complain about. 10-4, 14 games into the season. After tomorrow, like I said, we'll be 15 games in, and we'll see what the Lakers look like against the Utah Jazz. But you would assume that the Lakers take advantage of that game at home. It doesn't mean that the West isn't crowded. San Antonio is 9-4. They're right behind the Lakers. Minnesota's 8-5. They're right behind the Lakers. Golden State's won 3 in a row. They're 9-6. It doesn't mean that the West isn't crowded. It doesn't mean that you can't just drop after, by losing a couple of games. But I think 10-4 is significant. And the Lakers obviously were able to get there because of what they were able to do on that road trip going 3-2. All right, let's take a look at some of these comments here, and then we'll talk a little bit about the LeBron returning. It's funny. I saw this too, that the Hawks are 9-5. Let me just say something real quick about Atlanta, who's won 5 in a row in 8 of their last 10 games, and they play defense and they got some depth. Hawks were actually picked to be one of those teams that can make a little bit of noise in the Eastern Conference without Tyrese Halliburton, with some of the injuries in the Eastern Conference. With some teams being mid. I think Milwaukee is a good example of that. But without Trae Young and him missing some time, there was this kind of assumption of like, yeah, but they got to be whole and healthy for them to keep going. Maybe this Hawks game isn't as bad of a loss as we're making it out to be. And I appreciate somebody pointing out the 9-5. I should have pointed that out, but I was looking at the standings this morning. I'm like, damn, is Atlanta? They're not losing anything. All right, let's see what else we got here from Kevin. We should be at least 12-2 because of the loss of the Warriors and the Hawks. Unreasonable, but for Trailblazers and OKC, it's reasonable. Here's the problem with that. They could have lost that Minnesota game where they gave up that lead, and then Austin Reeves hits the buzzer beater. And there's some other games that the Lakers could have lost that they won. It all kind of balances itself out. So that's what I would say. All right, let's see. I can't wait till the Lakers play the Rockets in Denver. I'm with you on that. People love when I call barometer games. They love it. They love it. Sometimes people come on here just to hear me talk about barometer games. Let's see. I'm just looking at the schedule here. When do they play both of those teams? Looks like we got to wait a while, to be honest. I mean, at least from a scheduling perspective, Christmas is the game against Houston. I like that matchup. Is that right? December 25th? Yeah, Lakers got Houston on December 25th. And I don't think they play Denver. Damn, they're probably going to have to play Denver a ton if they're waiting this long. They play Denver on January 20th. Where's all the Denver games? What year am I looking at? All right, I guess, yeah, they won't have Denver until late into the season, and then they'll play them a couple of times. So, yeah, they'll play them twice in March as well. So they got some time before they play both of those teams. But I'm with you. Get a chance to see kind of some of the more elite teams. All right, let's see what we got here. Slapping the Bucks by almost 30 on their court is impressive. Bronny should never start again. Did we ever figure out why? I got a cousin of mine who watches the show, listens, will sometimes call me or text me, right after a game. And I'm like, brother, I got a post-game show to do. He's like, oh, yeah, sorry. I just wanted to react. This guy was blowing my phone up on Saturday. He's like, Al, why is Bronny starting? I'm like, I don't know. I got no idea. He didn't play much. I think he only played 9 minutes. All right, let's see what else we got here. Lakers should try to get DeRozan. Oh, we'll get into that one. Don't worry. And I think people are going to have a strong opinion on the DeRozan thing. So we'll get into that. I mean, listen, I'm going to highlight some of these and I'll come back to them, but I know people want to do the DeRozan thing, so we're going to do that. All right, let's keep walking here. Let's keep walking. I saw Nikhil Alexander Walker in the chat. It just kind of took my mind here. Let's keep moving here. Let's keep moving. Let's keep walking here. Let's kind of get a quick update here on LeBron. LeBron practicing with the Lakers. Let me kind of just pop up the article so we can just look exactly at where we are. So here's an article here on Sports Illustrated. LeBron James takes big step towards season debut with the Lakers. I'll read a little bit of the reports that are out there. So obviously we know he was with the South Bay Lakers, was doing some 5-on-5 practices. This was yesterday, there was a report out there from Shams. James was reassigned to the Lakers from South Bay, and he'll be a full participant at Lakers practice on Monday ahead of the team's game Tuesday against the Jazz. ESPN's Dave McMenamin reported James was a full participant in G League practices without experiencing any lingering soreness and pain from his injury. You know what's interesting about LeBron coming back, and you guys can tell me if you guys agree with this or not. And I don't know what's going to happen. All right, this is just me having the conversation with those who are on here on the chat. No matter what happens with LeBron, there's obviously going to be chatter around LeBron. Okay, LeBron comes back. Let's say the Lakers play well. Just let me paint out a couple different options. LeBron comes back, Lakers are playing well, and it's like, hey, they got LeBron. LeBron's taking them to a completely different level. Let's say the Lakers play poorly. Let's say that LeBron comes back 5 games in, they're 2-3, and they're kind of adjusting and they're trying to figure some stuff out. And the lineups are all changing now. What's the rotations? What's the starting lineup look like? And now you're starting to look, okay, what players are now coming off the bench? How much does Austin Reeves' game has to adjust, and Luka and Ayton and this and that? No matter what happens when LeBron comes back, there's going to be a lot of chatter. There's going to be a lot of conversation. People are going to have their opinion on it. As somebody who does a daily podcast, that's good content. I don't know how things are going to look. I don't know if it's going to take time for things to get smooth, or I don't know if they'll just, hey, LeBron's back and boom, everybody's just playing well. And it's as if he was always there with the Lakers the entire season. I don't know. Nobody can predict what's going to happen. But there seems to be, I already see it, because this was going on as the Lakers got off to a good start. There was this, LeBron's going to ruin the chemistry. And then the Lakers go on the road trip and go 1-2, and they get blown out by the Oklahoma City Thunder. And all of a sudden they're kind of coming back to reality. And it's like, you can't win without LeBron. There's going to be the extremes either way once LeBron comes back. I'll tell you how I'll look at when LeBron eventually returns and he comes back. First thing I'm going to look at is, I just care, okay, how does he look? Like, how does LeBron look? He's doing things at an age that's never been done in the history of the NBA. He's 40. He'll be 41 here by the time we get to the new calendar year of 2026. How's his body look? Does he look like LeBron looked last year? And that's what you're hoping for? Is he still a top 15, top 20 player in the NBA? Or does LeBron look like a 40, 41-year-old that missed a significant amount of time to start the season, 14 games, 15 games, whatever the case is. And for the first time, you're like, yep, there's that dip from LeBron, the one that we've been waiting for 5 years and we haven't got it. That's the thing I'm most paying attention to, almost less from a team perspective. What does LeBron actually look like once he comes back? We've never seen this before. So I don't think you could just assume LeBron's going to come back and he's going to be the same LeBron James as he was even just last season. Not, I'm not talking about what LeBron was in the 2016 finals. Of course. I mean, that's a long, what he was in the 2020 season. Of course, that's a long time ago. But my first curiosity is just going to be, what does LeBron look like? Once I see what LeBron looks like, then I'll start worrying about, all right, what does the rotations look like? How is the team performing together? Who's got the ball predominantly in the game? What role is LeBron playing? How are other guys adjusting to LeBron being back on the floor? Who went from a starter to coming off the bench? Who off the bench now is still getting significant minutes or is a player that's getting a lot less minutes? Those are the questions I have when LeBron comes back. But it starts with, what does LeBron look like? Like, I think a lot of people that are making the case LeBron's going to hurt the team, he's going to take the team to another level. How can we make any case about anything without seeing, let's just see what LeBron looks like? The man hasn't played since the playoffs last year, and he's in the process of something that's never happened in his entire career. He's never missed an opening night. Well, he's not just missing opening night. He's missing at least 14 games, potentially 15 games if we get to tomorrow. So, yes, LeBron coming back soon. But I think anybody that's trying to predict what kind of LeBron we're going to get, there's just no way of predicting that. And anybody that's trying to, jump to the conclusion of he's going to be great for the Lakers, he's going to hurt the Lakers, whichever side that you want to be on, we got to see what the man looks like. I think that part is not being talked enough about, that there is no guarantee LeBron will ever look like LeBron. There's no guarantee that LeBron will look like just what he did last season. I didn't have an issue with LeBron at any point last year. I thought when Luka came, everybody's, oh my God, you got two ball handlers. How they're not going to figure it out. LeBron figured it out. Of course, LeBron figured it out. That part's not a question. Question is, where's his body? Is it going to hold up? Is it going to be reliable? Will Lakers be wildly strategic with how they use LeBron this season? They should. I think if you are Bron, think about LeBron's career, and anytime he missed a significant amount of time, what happens to that team? They crater. Why? Because those teams are typically built around LeBron. And when you have a player as polarizing as LeBron, your team's going to struggle without a player that can give you 28, 8, and 8 a night and is the primary ball handler. So my biggest question when LeBron does return is, what does he look like? If he looks like the LeBron from last year and still is kind of that, I can do a little bit of everything, I'm not worried about anything. If he doesn't, then you start obviously adjusting. But from LeBron's perspective, here's the beauty. You haven't played a game yet this year. Lakers are 4th in the West and they're 10-4. And there's another top 5 player in the league that's already on the Lakers that doesn't technically need LeBron's help in the regular season. We'll need LeBron for obviously the long stretch. All right, let's get a couple of comments in here. See what people have. People yelling at each other. Are they happy? What are they doing? Slee, also have to see how LeBron will accept his second or third option in the offensive role. Guys, it's just not a question. What he did it last year. What was there? Do you guys believe that watching LeBron last year, once Luka came, was there a question of whether he was, no, I need the ball? I didn't see that. Give me specific examples if you saw that, because I didn't see it. I think those that are trying to make that argument, by the way, you can throw in this comment anytime, but obviously I'm just responding to it. When was LeBron a question last year if he didn't know how to accept a second role or third role or whatever the case is? And if let's hold LeBron by his word. When that statement came out in the offseason about, LeBron wants to compete, when Rich Paul came out with that statement through Clutch, he wants to compete. He understands the Lakers timeline, but he's got his own timeline. He's trying to win a championship. He wants to compete. Well, okay, you got it all in front of you. So where else are you going to go where you have an opportunity like this? Because number one, LeBron's not getting traded. And number two, if he got traded, all right, well, Lakers are going to have to match salaries and bring back talent the other way. So all of a sudden the team you're going to isn't nearly as good as well. Let's get some more in here. A lot of people like Herb Jones. Stud. Nice player. The rest, the Lakers having the week, going to be a blessing in disguise. Yeah, they only play. I don't know if people realize this. They were pumping out games here. I think they had 4 games over the course of maybe 5 days. Or no, 4 games in 6 days. Lakers were just pumping out games here on the schedule. This week, it's very light. They got a game on Tuesday. They don't have another game till Sunday. That doesn't happen very often in the NBA. So a lot of these guys are obviously going to get some. They're going to get some time off. They're going to get some time to chill. Every year the team goes as LeBron goes each game from an energy perspective. I'm really curious if that's a thing when he comes back. You know, I'm going to tell you the difference here. And this is going to sound very blunt. And how do I put this? How do I properly put this? It's the first time in LeBron's career where he's not the best player on the roster. So, you know, yeah, I think if you went with your leader before, because LeBron for 22 years was the best player on the team, Luka's the best player on the team. So I don't know if everything goes as LeBron. Now, LeBron can add to what the team has, but I don't think it all just goes with LeBron because Luka's on the team. There's a difference now. You know, it's not the same as it was. Thero better get all Gabe Vando's Bronny's minutes. Do Thero's. Nice to see that dude. How about how athletic he is? Phenomenal player. Nice player. It's going to be fun to watch him play. And I think there's going to be some unbelievably beautiful, beautiful plays and lobs and fast breaks that include a Do Thero. And I think Laker fans are going to enjoy watching him play. Get one more in here. LeBron will insist on getting his 20 points regardless of how many shots it takes for him to get to them. Not worried about LeBron. LeBron is way too intelligent, not figure it out. This is, of all the comments, Chris's comments is the most accurate on LeBron. That's he'll figure it out. It's the last person that I'm worried about. The only person I'm worried about is either the other players, but before I'm worried about the other players, I'm just worried about his health. What's he look like? That's it. Everything else, I think, will figure itself out. Okay, a lot of people, listen, if I'm going out of my way here to put on certain topics. I know there's a topic that everyone wants to get into, so I'm about to do that here in just a second. Before I do, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Shout out to anybody that has reached out to Brad Wallace because you said, all right, hey, Alan told me that there is a partner on this channel, and if I ever need anybody, if I need an injury attorney, if myself or a family member or friend is in a serious injury or an accident or a wrongful death case, Alice said he's got somebody for me, and people have reached out. So I appreciate you guys trusting in me, and I hope that trust between us is only built stronger and stronger over the years. If you go to this website, wallacewins.com, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. We created a URL here. Basically, you just put in your information. You get an absolutely free consultation. I love how they laid it out here. Get your questions answered. No fee, no obligation. One of the cool things as well, no win, no fee. If we don't win your case, as in the Wallace Firm, you don't pay a fee. I hope you guys don't need them. Stuff happens in life. If you do, just know that you got one of the best in the business that can help anybody in the state of California. So you could start your free case evaluation today. Here's the information, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. All right. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. And like always, shout out to you guys for supporting our partners. All right. DeMar DeRozan. All right. DeMar DeRozan. You guys want to talk to Rosen? People love this stuff. People love trade chatter. Love it. And I do too. It's fun. You know, it's a fun conversation. We are, none of that stuff really starts till you get to about December 15th. December 15th is when any players that signed in the summer now can get traded as well. So basically the whole league is wide open unless you have unless you have a no trade clause. There's some teams right now. Let me kind of set this all up and then we'll talk to Rosen. Okay. There's some teams right now where you're kind of getting close to that stage where you're asking yourself, all right, are we going to be able to make any noise? Are we, and whatever the goals are, like if I use the Sacramento Kings as an example, I think if you told me before the season started, the Sacramento Kings, if they just made the playoffs or were in the playing tournament, I think they're saying we'll take it. certain teams right now, you're getting close to that 20 game mark where you have a good idea of who you are as a franchise, who you are as a team, and what direction should you go from here. I always remember Rob Pelinka talking about this. Pelinka always says, we need 20, 25 games to know what we are. So there was a presser before the season started. It was Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick, and people are trying to ask, hey, what do you think you need here? What do you think this? Give me 20, 25 games. Most teams around the NBA are close to about 15 games. The Sacramento Kings are at 14 games. They're 3-11. They lost 6 games in a row. And I don't know if Doug Christie is going to make it through the regular season. I have no idea. I know that roster is wildly flawed. It doesn't make any sense. You got a lot of guys that used to be good. And the questions are going to start coming up. Will they start trading some of these players? So, and by the way, they're not the only team. Now you're starting to ask, there's a reason why you guys say, Slee, what about Herb Jones? You know who you guys are, the names you're bringing up? You're bringing up shitty teams that got off to an awful start. And the question is, will they become sellers? Will the Clippers become sellers? Will the Mavs become sellers? Will the Memphis Grizzlies become sellers? Will the Pelicans become sellers? That's the fair question. And the Kings kind of fall into this, obviously into the same category. All right, let me tell you why this is a topic right now. DeMar DeRozan. There's a couple different stories out here. Lakers urged to pursue 6-time All-Star from struggling West squad. Again, these are just articles out there. People have their opinion. They're trying to give their thoughts on what players the Lakers should go after. And there was somebody specifically, Clutch Points, Rohan Brumbat, if I said it correctly. And he had said something to the effect, and I know other people started chiming in and everything else. It almost feels too perfect, but the Lakers are undeniably the most logical destination for DeMar DeRozan. There was a time that I wanted to see DeMar DeRozan be a Los Angeles Laker. There's a time where I thought DeMar DeRozan his skill set would be advantageous to the Lakers. There's been a couple different times. And for whatever reason, the Lakers either didn't pursue a trade, even though DeMar DeRozan has publicly said he wanted to be a Laker. It's all about timing. And I think there was a time in DeMar DeRozan's career where it made sense for the Lakers to try to pursue him. I don't think this is one of those times. If you tell me what the Lakers need, let me just kind of give you, just right off the top of my head, let me kind of paint the picture of, if you said, what kind of player do the Lakers need? I would tell you, man, I'd love a two-way player in the league that is, let me give you a perfect age too, is like between 26 and 30, maybe 25 and 30, if you want to say that, 30 being the oldest, but maybe somewhere in that 27, 28 range. Again, I'm just creating something. A 6'6" guy that can hit some threes, is a threat from the three-point line, also plays defense, has a little bit of a playoff experience, but most importantly, can play both sides of the ball. And I think this is probably the most important thing. Whoever the hell you're trading for at this point, well, who are you trying to match that player with? Do you want to match that player you trade for with, there isn't really even another option. There's only one. You only want to make a trade for a player that you feel like is the right fit for Luka. And then if you also want to throw in Austin Reeves, because you're assuming Austin Reeves is going to be here as well. That's what I'm trading for. Tell me how DeMar DeRozan fits any of that. He's 36 years old. Yes, he's on an expiring contract. I don't think the Lakers should be making any moves that don't have long-term play into them as well. And it's your definition to what you want long-term to me. For me, long-term is 2 to 4 years, something like that. If you're going to go trade for a player, you also want that player to be a part of your roster next season as well. Tell me how DeMar DeRozan fits any of that. Can he get you some buckets? Sure. Does he have a good mid-range game? Absolutely. But this ain't the DeMar DeRozan from 2020, 2021, 2022. It's not that DeMar DeRozan. And as he sits here, age-wise, and I'm not even telling you that DeMar DeRozan is going to cost you a lot. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. But I have a very difficult time understanding how, off of the quotes here, DeRozan would just be a perfect fit for the Lakers. Maybe it's just because you don't have to give up a lot for him. I think in this trade scenario, they had the Lakers giving up Vando and a pick. Yeah, I'm good. I'd rather pursue somebody else that I felt like, number one, can be more of an impact on the defensive side. Number two, by the way, do you want a mid-range shooter or do you want a three-point shooter? I'd rather have a three-point shooter. And if you go see the Lakers statistically right now, they're one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the NBA, which I don't know if that's good news because they got that much more to improve, or it's bad news because they're just not a good three-point shooting team. And a lot of those misses are coming from two of your best players in Luka and AR. I'm good on the DeMar front. So I got a difficult, if you're painting a picture for me now and you're telling me all these other teams that are going to start selling, you're telling me the Pelicans are going to start selling, the Kings are going to start selling, the Mavs are going to start selling, the Grizzlies, maybe the Clippers. And I know you're not going to do business with all these teams. I understand that. I get how the league works. Maybe some teams just don't want to do any deals with the Lakers. Go look at the Eastern Conference. The Brooklyn Nets, the Indiana Pacers, and the Washington Wizards have 4 wins total between those 3 teams. 2-11, 1-12, 1-12. There's going to be a lot of teams probably looking to sell. Like I said, you get to that 20-game marker, 25-game marker, you kind of have an idea of which direction your franchise is going to go in for this season. Sacramento's in free fall. I don't want DeMar DeRozan. I don't. I mean, that wouldn't be the guy that I'm targeting. So let's take a look at some of the comments, see what, see everybody's opinion on here. But hopefully I kind of laid that out properly of there's certain goals that you're going to have if you're the Lakers at this stage of the franchise. And at this stage of the franchise, every single move you make, you have to ask yourself, how's that guy with Luka? How's that guy look with Luka for the next couple of years? And if you can't say, well, no, this is just a this year rental. Okay, you want to give up assets just for this year? All right, I don't know if that's a good idea. You got Luka, who's 26 years old. Don't you want to get assets that are working with Luka, working with AR for the future as well? And I don't think a 36-year-old is the answer. I think I kind of frame this the right way in regards to how I would look at it in regards to DeMar DeRozan. By the way, nobody's saying the Lakers are going to go after DeRozan. I just know that this got a little bit of steam, so I wanted to give my opinion on that. The absolute dream is Keon Ellis and Herb Jones. Do you know what these players have in common? They're feisty. They play defense. I think would love to be on a winning culture, both of those players. So that's an interesting one. And thank you for being a member for 7 months, my brother. We need another impact defensive perimeter player. Okay, by the way, listen, here's a good one. If you told me it's Wiggins, and I've said this before, that I'd probably pause on the Wiggins thing. How's Miami doing, by the way? By the way, I hate doing deals with teams that have good front offices. Miami's 7-6, but I know Miami's had a ton of injuries. Has Hero even played? Hero participated in Sunday's practice. I don't think Hero's played a game yet. Adebayo's not playing tonight. So Miami, without some, key players, are kind of staying in the thick of it. Miami is. That's the Miami Heat in a nutshell. Kings want Lakers' second unit. They've proven themselves. Lakers need a 3-and-D wing, 100%. DeMar had the opportunity to come to the Lakers. He did, and I think the Lakers also had an opportunity to get him. And look, guys, it's timing. There's certain things that just make sense from a timing perspective. This one at this stage doesn't. If you told me DeMar DeRozan 3-4 years ago with Anthony Davis on the team, okay, that one would make more sense. The most interesting thing about DeMar is he's only about 800 points behind Steph Curry all time. I'm not telling you that he's not a really, really good player, but what I'm telling you is that time is kind of over. Where the Lakers still want Sabonis. Here's the problem with Domantas Sabonis. I like Domantas Sabonis. I think the best thing that could happen to Domantas Sabonis at this stage of his career is get the hell out of Sacramento and go to a team that knows what they're doing. I don't think the Domantas Sabonis will cost, and he should cost a lot, number one. And number two, Sacramento ain't trading him to the Lakers. I don't think he would kill the team's chemistry. I really don't. I just think, again, now's not the time. If we get DeMar, then Keon needs to come with him. He's probably got a lot of smart people on this chat. They know their ball. Long contract doesn't fit Luka's timeline now. JJ trade is interesting to me. Jaren Jackson Jr., I'm assuming, if that's what you're saying. Okay, we got enough people chiming in regards to that. But listen, this is what's going to be fun. This is what I think will be fun. DeMar on a buyout after a trade is fine. Trading for DeMar is simply too old. Yeah, by the way, I mean, okay, yeah, it's a buyout and it's a temporary thing and you gave up no assets for it. All right. I mean, he won't hurt you. Let's put it that way. But I'm not trading assets for DeMar DeRozan. Here's a good thing. Here's the one thing that I will say. This time of the year, we're getting close to it where these names are going to start circulating, that teams are going to start throwing out like, I wonder what we can get from this guy. Because I think in the next 2 weeks, here's what's going to be determined. What teams are like, we got to go into a fire sale. And whatever those teams are, you're going to have other teams in the Western Conference hunting for those players. You're going to have other teams in the East that say, man, if we can just get our hands on that player, I'm not telling you it's going to be cheap, but I'm telling you that if you can get the right player, then you pay for it. I don't think DeMar DeRozan's the right player. So we'll keep moving on that. Okay. Let me point out something else. I want to open this article up with you guys. And if you guys got some more thoughts on that, you can feel free to put it in the comments, and I'll try to get to it a little bit later. So there was an article this morning that came out on ESPN, and I thought it was an interesting one. And I'm going to share it here with everybody. All right. Let me get this a little tighter here. Tiers for all 30 NBA teams. Real contenders to play-in dreamers. Okay. So let's kind of look at this together. I've said this, and really the reason why I want to do this, there's a couple of reasons. What I want to do is I want to spend, just kind of see where ESPN has the Lakers from a tier perspective. And then I also want to talk about, all right, what tier are the Lakers in compared to other teams? And I mentioned in the Western Conference, the West right now, Thunder with 1 loss, Denver with 2 losses, Houston with 3 losses, Lakers with 4 losses, San Antonio with 4 losses. There's your top 5 right there. And then some teams right behind you ready to go as well. All right. I've said this a couple different times. I said, stop. I literally was saying this last week. I'm like, all these networks that are putting these power rankings and tiers, I'm like, can you do me a favor? Can you leave the Oklahoma City Thunder in their own tier, please? Nobody should be in their class and their conversation, period. Start with the Thunder and move on from there. ESPN this morning comes out with their tiers. Tier 1, just the Thunder. That's how it should be. It should just be the Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay. I thought Lakers getting off to a 10-4 start. I thought, all right, let's see here's tier 2, legit title contenders. Interesting. Lakers don't make it on tier 2. So they put Denver there, who's 10-2, put Houston there. Fair. The reason why the Knicks and the Cavs are there, it's almost by default. It's by default because the Eastern Conference, somebody's going to come out of the East. And if you come out of the East, or you're one of the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference, then you're a title contender. I mean, not everybody gets on, and it's not all based on record. The Pistons have jumped out to an unbelievable start. I think they're 11-2 at this point, but they've jumped out to an 11-2 start. Doesn't mean they are a title contender in the eyes of some of these tiers, and I'm okay with that. But I was a little surprised the Lakers didn't make the tier 2 contenders. Okay, where are the Lakers then? Let's see where the Lakers are. Tier 3 conference finals party crashers. So the Lakers, the Timberwolves, and the Spurs from the Western Conference all in this tier 3. Now, this is the Lakers, obviously, without Luke or without LeBron James. And we'll see kind of where it goes from here. But, and I'm going to just show one more here. Tier 4, the Warriors, the Clippers, and the Magic. Clippers are 4-9. They put them in the same tier as the Golden State Warriors. You guys can help me understand that one, all the injuries that they have. So it's kind of an odd ranking for me. I don't think it was one of those where I walked away and I'm like, oh, this makes all the sense in the world. Or, oh, yeah, that one. No, I disagree with a few of those. I'm not going to – the world's not going to end that the Lakers aren't in tier 2, but damn, shouldn't you be impressed with the 10-4 start without LeBron? 10-4 start without LeBron James, I thought would probably put the Lakers in one of those tiers. It didn't eventually happen, and I understand kind of the making here in the Eastern Conference, but it's the first time that I've seen them really do these tiers this way. OKC by themselves, 2 teams in the West, 2 teams in the East in tier 2, and then here comes the Lakers in tier 3. Not that it matters, not that the world's going to end, but there's the Lakers making it to tier 3, and really, I don't think nobody – I guess you can say taking the Lakers too serious as of yet as an actual title contender or a team that gets to the Western Conference Finals. That's my take on it. That's how I look at it. That's how I think people are taking it. All right, that's how I think ESPN and some of these others are. All right, let me see a couple of these here. Are Lakers rebuilding for the future or contending for a chip? DeMar is consistent. I think they're trying to do both. I think they're trying to get as far as they possibly can this year with the future in mind, rather than, we're all in on the future and we don't really care what happens now. Let's get a couple more in these here. I saw something on Giannis here. I will tell you guys this. Okay, Lakers are not in there because outside LeBron, Luka, all the rest of their players are unproven. How much do you trust Ayton or Reason in the playoffs or Vando and Gabe? Okay. By the way, I could buy that. I could buy that. I can buy if you said I got to put 2 teams in the East and 2 teams in the West in that tier 2. I can buy put Houston there, put Denver there, put New York there, and put Cleveland there. I could buy that. I don't think the world's going to end in regards to that. All right, let's get a couple more in here. Ship AR, Rui, Vando, connect off for young core that is athletic. That's a lot of people you're shipping off here. That's a lot of people you're shipping off. I'm not high on our Lakers team. We'll win games even when Bron is back, but we can't play defense, and I'm not sold on the bench. They're not perfect. Their 3-point shooting is bad. So there's they got some characteristics that aren't typically good. But I will say this, probably one of their best characteristics, they find a way to win games. They find ways to win games. And, like we've said in the past, they got one of the top 5 players in the world. So I think those are things that got to be accounted for as well. Okay, let's keep moving here. I still got a couple more topics to get to, and we're closing in on 9 o'clock. Closing in on 9 o'clock, and we're still rolling. Do you guys see this story? I won't spend too much time on this one, but I do want to get this in here. There were 2 stories about Anthony Davis over the weekend. Number one story out there on AD. Again, just real quick on AD, and one of these ties back to the Lakers, predominantly why I'm hitting on it as well. So, turn this off real quick. Mavericks Anthony Davis out at least another 7 to 10 days. Will be sidelined at least 7 to 10 days while he recovers from his left calf strain, the team announced Sunday evening. We know that, I think up to this point, since AD got traded, he's played 14 of maybe 46 games for the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs just can't, they can't run away from some of these Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic stuff. So that's been going on. That's one piece of news that came out. Something else came out on Friday. Clutch Points, Brett Ziegel had put this out there. That there was more and more dissatisfaction for the superstar big men within the Lakers organization. I want to hit on this real quick because I actually kind of support Anthony Davis in this one, and I'd love to see what you guys got to say as well. Here's what Brett Siegel had put out there that he's reporting. He only played in 36 games the season after winning a championship due to calf and Achilles strains. And then Davis only played in 40 games during the 2021-2022 season because of a left MCL sprain. The very next season, Davis missed 20 games with a right foot injury. Okay, let's keep going here. All good. This has, obviously been part of the story with Anthony Davis. Throughout these 3 years in which Davis was consistently in and out of lineup as a result of many injuries, internal concerns about why Davis took care or the way Davis took care of his body began to loom large. Then, I guess, was one of the last straws here is when Anthony Davis basically goes on ESPN and asks, it says, one action from Davis sealed his fate in LA. Davis and his camp held a meeting with the Lakers before the 2024 season was in full swing, sources said. The stress and importance of having him, having more help around him, specifically at the center position. Remember when AD did that sit down with Shams on like a Tuesday, and then he got traded on a Saturday or Sunday or whenever that was? And he's basically asking like, hey, go look at the season that we had when we won an NBA championship. Get me a center and play me at the 4. And apparently the Lakers didn't like that. And there were some rumblings about that early on too, that they were not a fan of Anthony Davis kind of going public with that. I got to be honest with everybody. And the Anthony Davis has already, what Davis said in the interview was essentially the last straw. Got to be honest with everybody. The whole AD Lakers stuff, that's all gone. Lakers, Anthony Davis, I thought, did a good job while he was a Laker. Did you have frustrations with Anthony Davis? Did you ever want to hand the keys to AD and say, hey, this is your franchise? Absolutely not. And you see how quickly the Lakers got Luka Doncic. Luka's like, give me the damn keys. I sit on the front seat. I drive the car. I tell you where we're going. That's just kind of your alpha, your true leader. And that didn't really feel like that was ever going to be the case with Anthony Davis. But here's the one thing I will say. Was Anthony Davis ever wrong about wanting to play the 4 spot and have a center at the 5? I never understood that from the Lakers, from the franchise and the organization. When people say, oh, that was the last straw, it wasn't the last straw. They got offered Luka. I don't know if the Lakers were trading Anthony Davis unless Luka was on the table. I'm sure there's other players they would have traded. They would have traded him for Anthony Edwards. They'd have traded him for Jason Tatum. There's other players they would have traded him for, but those franchises wouldn't have done that. I always had an issue trying to understand why the franchise was so opposed to having Anthony Davis play the 4 and putting a center like they did in that 2020 run where Anthony Davis got to play the 4. And, obviously you had a legit center at the 5. I mean, the following season they had Marc Gasol, and I know Marc Gasol wasn't the same player, but I think the Lakers would have beat the Suns in the playoffs if AD didn't get hurt. I always had a difficult time of, and listen, I don't agree with that was the last straw. Bullshit. You probably weren't going to trade Anthony Davis anyways, unless Luka was brought to the table. You were gifted Luka Doncic. I was thinking about this. I can't remember if there was a topic that was brought up or this was just me thinking about it. What would they have done if the Luka trade wasn't there? What was going to be the Lakers' future if Luka wasn't there? They were going to have AD and LeBron. Anthony Davis would continue not to be dependable and have a ceiling and not be the head of your franchise. LeBron was going to age out. I don't know what they would have done. Like literally, I think this franchise was kind of saved here by this Luka trade. At least the future of it was. They would have done something. It's the Lakers. I understand it, but what would they be unhappy about? I think what Anthony Davis was asking for was a legit reason of why Anthony Davis felt we got a better shot of winning the whole thing if you get me what I'm looking for. All right, let's see what we got here. Because we were trying to get quicker and modern, who was the center to get Valanciunas? No, I think it was more just the idea and the concept. Go get a player like this, a model player like this. And again, that whole thing about like that was the last straw. What are you talking about? It wasn't the last straw. You're not trading Anthony Davis unless you got something unbelievable in return. And instead you get, obviously you get who you get. You got Luka. I'll give Luka having a finals appearance and being conference MVP, but he hasn't proven his style of play can win a chip. Okay, I could give you that. I could give you that. I think if you look at, if I told you give me the top 5 players in the NBA right now. Ooh, how do I do this? Do I want to throw that player in there or not? Has Giannis proved he can win a chip? He has. Has Jokic proved he can win a chip? He has. Has Shea proved he can win a chip? He has. Has Tatum proved he can win a chip? He has. I could give you that. But I think to win an NBA championship, you got to understand there's obviously so much more than one player. Everything's got to connect and work. But I think what he was doing in Dallas, he was over-delivering for Dallas. Like you were reaching your, hey, I don't think they could get any better. I think this is the best that they can get. Unless other players came in or whatever the case is. But that's interesting. I'm okay with that. SGA didn't improve until last year. Yeah, and he's young. I mean, SGA is very, very young. At first, I thought the trade was dumb, but glad it worked out. Yeah. There was a report Rob was probing about AD trades. If that happened to influence Nico, then the front office gets credit. I mean, the front office gets credit because the trade happened and it was kept under quiet, and Nico Harrison got exactly what he was looking for, and they kept Austin Reeves, and they kept a first rounder or more first rounders. That's why that whole trade was, obviously, but it was more the stupidity of the Dallas Mavericks than I think the credit of the Lakers. I mean, if you want me to be honest with you, that's what I think it was. Lakers need to hire Nico as a consultant. I was listening to Raymond Felton. If you guys remember, Raymond Felton was on. I don't even know if I'm being honest, I'm not sure what he was talking about, but he was on NBA Sirius XM radio, and I think Amin El Hassan, and they were talking about Nico Harrison. This was I listened to it yesterday, but it was during the week last week. And he was saying things like he thinks Nico's going to definitely get another job. And, he was just kind of made out to be the scapegoat, and he never got a chance to see what his vision was with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. And if those players were healthy, that team would have been a lot better, everything else. I got to be honest. I don't know if he gets another job in the NBA. I don't, because I think if you're a bad organization and you feel like, hey, we got nothing to lose with Nico Harrison, maybe you take that chance, and it's something along those lines. Because Nico did do a good job building the Dallas Mavericks. He's just never going to be remembered as somebody that he's never going to be remembered for what he did. He's going to be remembered for trading Luka. And there's a good reason why people will remember him for that. But a lot of stuff Raymond Felton was saying, I don't know if this guy is guaranteed to get another gig back in the NBA. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not as sold as that happening as maybe Raymond Felton was. So we'll see what eventually happens in regards to that. But I think that's going to be very, very, it would be complicated for him to get another gig in the league. Let's put it that way. It will definitely be complicated for him to get another gig in the league. Okay. Got some NBA news I want to get into. Then we got the weekend recap. Already $1:03 into the show, and I haven't even got into my NBA news. First off here real quick, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate you guys hanging out on the show as you guys always do. Please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate that. A couple NBA things I want to point out real quick. Draymond Green confronts a fan over Angel Reese chant. Did you guys see this yesterday? Damn, Draymond's got to be careful here. I mean, getting face-to-face with a fan, never know what can happen. Here's what happened. Draymond Green said, he just kept calling me a woman's name. It was a good joke at first, but you can't keep calling me a woman. I got 4 kids, 1 on the way. You can't keep calling me a woman. I guess the guy was saying he was calling him Angel Reese, from what I understand. Here's what the fan said. By the way, if you're fans, sit your ass down. Look at that guy going straight up to Draymond with his hands out in the front row. What a tough guy. Some of these freaking fans. God, and they feel like the thing that kills me, I'm not telling you Draymond Green's right here to go up to him and confront him, but some of these fans, because they pay for a ticket, they feel like they could just say anything. Here's what the fan said. I wasn't using profanity, and for him to walk 12 feet off the court to come and get me in my face like that, it was a little unnerving. Draymond said he was talking at first, then you get a little closer, and he didn't really say much else, but it's fine. We move on. Does anybody want to see or need to see? I mean, both of them, to be honest with you, I put both of them on blast a little bit. If you're Draymond, you got dumbasses everywhere. This won't be the first or the last time that you run into a dumbass fan. And if you're the fan, sit your ass down. I mean, this guy putting his hands up like he was going to do something. He wasn't going to do anything. Firm seeks records from players, teams in NBA gambling inquiry. Did you guys see this? The latest, reported by The Athletic. Multiple teams have been contacted by investigators, including the Los Angeles Lakers, sources told ESPN Shams Charania. Lakers assistant trainer Mike Mancias and executive administrator Randy Mims are among approximately a dozen team employees who have been contacted and are cooperating with the investigation, sources said. The Athletic reported that Mancias and Mims voluntarily gave their cell phones to investigators. Guys, I don't want to get into the details of the current investigation because I don't think I'm the one to break everything down. But every time I see one of these articles and one of these reports, the first thing that goes to my mind is like, that's a bad look. Yep, that's another bad look for the NBA. Yep, the NBA is still probing this. Yep, there's a gambling inquiry going on. And maybe even if you lose your trust in the NBA by 1%, that's not good. 5%, that's not good. The integrity of the game is so important. And every time I see one of these articles or one of these reports, I'm like, we could be sitting here and there are people out there that distrust the NBA just a little bit more, distrust sports or distrust the players. So make what you want of it, but the Lakers obviously tied into that. Just kind of part of the mix here that comes with what the NBA seems to have now. Unfortunately, that's part of the mix. Okay, I got a couple things around the NFL and college football, and then we're going to get out of here. This is the weekend recap presented by the Wallace firm, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Just real quick on the NFL, college football real quick, and then I'll look at some of the comments and we'll be done for the day. So in the NFL, there were some really good games on last night or yesterday in general, and some really good teams going at it. Buffalo is 7-3. They beat the Buccaneers. That was a big game from a record perspective. And Josh Allen, yeah, no big deal. 3 touchdowns, 6 total touchdowns, 44-32, they win. Okay, some other big games that went down yesterday. I thought was going to be a big game. The Jags blow out the Chargers 35-6. The Rams and the Seahawks. Kind of a weird game to watch. The Seahawks had so many turnovers. Sam Darnold was so bad with 4 interceptions, yet a 61-yard field goal would have beat the Rams. So kind of just an old school football bloodbath between the Seahawks and the Rams. And now the Rams are top of the division at 8-2. This is just a phenomenal division. 49ers now get Purdy back. They're 7-4. So this one's going to go down the wire in the division, but a lot of good teams going at it. The Kansas City Chiefs through 10 games of the season are 5-5. Thought they were going to win that game. Broncos come back. I think Chiefs took a 19-16 lead. Broncos eventually win the game on a last-second field goal. The Broncos are 9-2, 22-19. They win. And then the Eagles beat the Lions yesterday. Eagles 8-2, Lions 6-4. Just a really, really good week in NFL. Really, really good games in the NFL. I'm sure if you're an NFL fan, you definitely enjoyed it. As far as the standings go, just to kind of give you a quick idea here, Denver and the Patriots 9-2. Who the hell would have guessed that? The Colts 8-2. Look at the top of the AFC. Jesus. That's wild. That's crazy to see those teams on top. Then Philly, the Rams, and the Bears leading their division are 7-3, are leading the NFC. One quick thing on college football, top 5 teams: Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Ole Miss. Those are your top 5 in college football. And USC just kind of keeps something out here on Southern California. USC number 16 in the country after they beat Iowa. And my Aztecs, good chance to play in that Mountain West Conference championship game. See what happens. All right, let's see what we got here. Caleb Williams is the GOAT. Yeah, we got JJ is definitely a Bears fan here. Slee, give Caleb some respect. I got you. All right, relax. Slee bringing up the Tampa Bay loss. How am I supposed to know you're a Tampa fan? Got no way of doing that. Let's go Lakers beat the Jazz tomorrow. Obviously, Lakers got to handle business tomorrow. We'll go from there. I'm rooting for James to confirm new team beginning. There we go. All right, that's enough there. All right, my people, we got a $1.10 in. Really, really fun show today. Did I miss any? I missed a couple here. Let me get these in here. Darryl Better, I got that one. Get another one in here. Lakers need Wiggins, Herb Jones, Dyson Daniels type. Dyson Daniels ain't going anywhere. Wiggins, we'll see. Maybe he's available. But I'm always weary to do deals with the Miami Heat and Pat Riley. Herb Jones, if you want me to be honest with you, I don't know why the Pelicans would trade him. Trade other guys. I don't know if I'm trading him. I think a lot of teams are going to want that. I agree with you about AD Slee. BT on here. LeBron is our 4, so AD can't be the 4. We're talking about back in the day. Well, LeBron was the 3 back in the day when they were winning those, when they won the championship in 2020. Shout out to a new member, Lake Show Blake. Thank you for being a new member. $3 a month. Just hit that join button if you're interested. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Really good show today. 8 a.m. tomorrow. I got Trevor Lane on the show, so join us tomorrow. And, of course, I'll be doing a Lakers post-game show after the Lakers take on the Utah Jazz. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your Monday. Hopefully a great Monday night. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.